When Labor's Wayne Swan was Treasurer, for him gross debt was irrelevant and only net debt figures were provided in the budget papers. Net debt is described by the Department of Finance as the sum of interest-bearing liabilities, that is, the money we borrow to pay for all this stuff which incurs interest. So net debt is that amount, total, less the financial assets that the government, which is us, it has on our behalf, which is cash and deposits and investments and loans and so on. So Treasurer Chalmers should be talking about net debt, not gross debt. When Labor last came to office in 2007, the Howard Costello government had left $40 billion in the till. No debt, $40 billion. By the time Labor had finished, there was $210 billion of debt. The Frydenberg budget in March had net debt at $632 billion, or 27.6% of GDP. Thankfully, it's not $1 trillion. Chalmers hasn't inherited $1 trillion of net debt, but nonetheless, he has inherited a spending spree by the coalition in a disproportionate response to the pandemic. So net debt has gone from $491 billion in 2019-20 to 2 years, $632 billion in 2021-22. The figures are eye-watering. But remember, Labor in opposition nodded its agreement to this splashing around of cash everywhere. So here we are. How do we pay our way? We need to do more than pray, I can tell you. It is you, the taxpayer, business as a taxpayer, which will suffer if government spends and then borrows to fund its spending habits. It's all very well to run popular campaigns, increase the funding to the NDIS, better aged care, as recommended by the Royal Commission into Aged Care. We all agree with these things. Increased health and childcare costs. But here we've got to say now, when the rubber hits the road, who is going to pay? We live in an uncertain geopolitical world. Governments are going to have to increase defence spending. A recent Commonwealth Bank analysis reported this week a 16% lift in ongoing spending since the pandemic. 16% increase. That completely outpaces economic growth. So, we're living miles beyond our means. And surely we have to repair the budget, address debt, if we're going to weather another major health or financial or defence crisis. But the Coalition's budget in May provided $18 billion extra spending on aged care, $13 billion, that's 13,000 million extra spending for the National Disability Insurance Scheme, 2.3 thousand million extra for mental health. And from July next year, we've now got Labor's childcare package will cost 5.4 thousand million, and it recklessly and amazingly to me increases the childcare subsidy to 90% for the first child in care. 90% you get back for families earning up to, are you ready? Up to $530,000. I'm sorry, we can't afford it. And the Albanese government recently announced an extra $1.4 billion for COVID response measures. There's a push for extended paid parental leave, $600 million to boost women's workplace equity, and bonuses for childcare workers. We should be in mourning because government spending has ballooned to its highest share of the economy in our history. In our history. Taxpayers are going to be slugged. Make no mistake. The Governor of the Reserve Bank hasn't made a lot of sense in the last 12 months, but he did make sense last week when he said simply, governments can't keep using the national credit card. Our job is to stop asking and then make sure they don't.